Some of the most valuable UK coins ever found are hiding in plain sight, sitting inside old jars, drawers, and forgotten collections across the world. These small 50-pence coins may look ordinary, worn, or even dirty, but behind them are rare stories, historic changes, and surprising values that have shocked collectors for years. In this video, we will explore rare UK 50-pence coins from different years, uncover what makes them special, and show how small details like condition, errors, and early designs can completely change their value. You will also learn why some of these coins are still highly searched by collectors today, and how certain examples have reached unbelievable prices in the market. Stay focused, because every coin could hold a hidden surprise. Now, let's start with the first coin. This coin might look normal at first glance, but the truth behind this old 1969 50-pence coin is far more exciting than most people realize. To many people, it is just an old British coin with dirt, wear, and years of damage from circulation. But collectors see something completely different. They see history, rarity, and the possibility of hidden value that could turn an ordinary-looking coin into a shocking discovery. The 1969 50-pence was one of the most important coins released during Britain's huge change to decimal currency. Before this period, the United Kingdom used the old pounds, shillings, and pence system that had existed for generations. But by the late 1960s, the country was preparing for a brand new decimal money system. And this large 50-pence coin became one of the symbols of that historic change. When people first saw this coin, many were surprised by its unusual shape. Unlike traditional round coins, the 50-pence carried a seven-sided design that instantly made it stand out. That shape was not just for appearance. It was carefully designed so people could easily recognize the coin by touch while still allowing machines to accept it properly. Even today, the shape remains one of the most recognizable features in British coin history. On the front of the coin is Queen Elizabeth II, shown during the earlier years of her reign. Her portrait gives the coin a strong connection to British history and culture. On the reverse side is Britannia sitting beside a lion, holding a trident with the Union flag shield nearby. The design gave the coin a proud national identity during a time of major change across the United Kingdom. Now let's talk about the coin itself. This particular example clearly shows heavy circulation and age. The surfaces have become dark and dull over time, and much of the original shine has disappeared. Small scratches and marks can be seen across both sides from decades of handling. Queen Elizabeth's portrait still remains visible, but many of the finer details have softened from years of use. The same can be seen on Britannia and the lion on the reverse. Even with the wear, the date and lettering are still easy to read, which helps preserve collector interest. And here is where things begin getting more interesting. Many collectors actually enjoy old circulated coins because they carry a story. This coin may have passed through thousands of hands over the decades. It may have traveled through shops, buses, restaurants, markets, and cash registers across Britain during one of the country's most historic currency changes. Every mark on the surface is part of that journey. The 1969 50-pence was also made from cupronickel, a strong metal mix used for many modern coins. Unlike silver coins from earlier generations, these newer decimal coins were built for heavy circulation. Because of that, many survived for decades, but finding examples with strong original detail has become much harder over time. Now here is something many people do not know. Early decimal coins from 1969 are becoming more popular with collectors every year because they represent the beginning of a completely new era of British money. First-year coins always attract attention, especially when they are tied to such an important historical event. Collectors also search carefully for rare errors and unusual varieties on these coins. Some examples have shown striking mistakes, off-center designs, clipped planchets, or unusual die flaws. While most circulated coins are common, rare error versions can completely change the value story overnight. Now let's talk about prices because this is the part that surprises many people the most. A normal circulated 1969 50-pence coin in old worn condition like this may only be worth a few dollars to casual buyers. Some examples sell for slightly more depending on eye appeal and detail. But once you move into cleaner uncirculated examples with strong original luster, values begin climbing much higher. Bright uncirculated coins with sharp details can reach hundreds of dollars, especially when professionally graded by companies like PCGS or NGC. High-grade examples with near-perfect preservation can sell for thousands because so few survived in top condition after decades of circulation. But the real excitement comes from rare error coins and elite collector examples. Certain 1969 50 new pence coins connected to important minting errors and exceptional preservation have shocked collectors with values reaching far beyond normal expectations. In rare auction situations where rarity, condition, and collector demand all come together perfectly, some examples have pushed into astonishing six-figure territory, with elite pieces climbing above $10,000 and creating massive excitement in the coin collecting world. That is why collectors never stop checking old coins carefully. Most people only see old pocket change. But experienced collectors know hidden treasures can sometimes appear in the most unexpected places. And perhaps the most exciting part is this: valuable discoveries still happen today. People continue finding rare coins hidden in family collections, forgotten drawers, old jars, and inherited boxes that sat untouched for years. Many valuable coins were discovered by ordinary people who simply decided to take a closer look. Imagine finding one of these old 1969 50 new pence coins while cleaning out an old box at home. At first, it just looks dirty and worn. But then you begin noticing the historic design, the unusual seven-sided shape, and the connection to Britain's decimal change. Suddenly, the coin feels much more important than 50 pence. That feeling of discovery is what makes coin collecting so exciting. It is not only about money. It is about history, mystery, and the thrill of finding something special hidden in plain sight. So the next time you come across an old UK 50 pence coin, do not ignore it too quickly. Look carefully at the details, the condition, and the date. Because one small difference could completely change its value. Now, let's move on to the next coin. This old 1977 50 new pence coin may look damaged, dirty, and completely worn out today, but some collectors would never walk past a coin like this without taking a second look. Why? Because hidden behind the scratches, dark color, and years of circulation could be a story, and possibly a value, that most people would never expect from an old 50 pence coin. By 1977, Britain's decimal currency system was becoming part of everyday life. The large seven-sided 50 new pence coin had already become one of the most recognized coins in the country. People carried them everywhere. They passed through shops, buses, train stations, pubs, and markets every single day. But what many people never realized was that some of these coins would later become collector targets decades after leaving the Royal Mint. One thing that makes the 1977 version especially interesting is the time period it came from. Britain was celebrating Queen Elizabeth II's Silver Jubilee around this era, marking 25 years of her reign. The country was filled with patriotic celebrations, special events, souvenirs, and collector interest surrounding the Queen. That national excitement caused many people to start paying more attention to British coins and collectibles from the late 1970s. Now when you look at this particular coin, you can clearly see the effects of heavy circulation. The surfaces appear dark and dirty, with dull coloring replacing the original shine long ago. There are scratches, worn edges, and faded details spread across both sides of the coin. Queen Elizabeth II's portrait still remains visible, but many of the finer lines have become smooth from years of handling. On the reverse, Britannia and the lion still stand proudly, although the smaller design details have weakened over time. But strangely enough, coins in rough condition like this can sometimes create even more curiosity among collectors. Why? Because heavily circulated coins often hide stories no one can fully trace. This coin may have traveled across Britain for decades before ending up forgotten in a drawer or collection. It survived years of economic change, millions of transactions, and countless pockets and hands. And here is something fascinating many people do not know. The large old-style 50 new pence coins were eventually reduced in size years later because the original version was considered too bulky and heavy for everyday use. That means these earlier large-format coins slowly disappeared from circulation over time, making surviving examples more interesting to collectors today. The coin itself was struck in cupronickel, a durable metal mixture designed to survive constant circulation. And survive it did. Many of these coins lasted for decades. But because they were used so heavily, finding examples with sharp details and strong surfaces became much harder as time passed. Now this is where things begin getting truly exciting. Collectors search these older 50 new pence coins very carefully because some rare versions carry minting errors and unusual varieties. Certain examples have shown off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, or unusual edge problems that instantly separate them from ordinary pieces. Some rare errors are so difficult to find that collectors are willing to pay enormous amounts to own them. And then there is condition rarity. Even though millions of 1977 50 new pence coins were made, very few survived in top collector grades. Most entered circulation immediately and became worn down over the years. That means high-grade examples with strong shine, sharp details, and original surfaces are much scarcer than people expect. Now let's talk about values, because this is where things can become shocking. A heavily circulated 1977 50 new pence coin in bad condition like this may only carry a small value above face amount to most buyers. But uncirculated examples with excellent preservation can quickly rise into the hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on rarity and demand. And when rare minting errors enter the picture, values can explode far beyond what anyone imagines possible for an old British 50 pence coin. Certain elite examples tied to major production mistakes and exceptional condition have stunned collectors at auctions, with some pieces climbing into incredible six-figure territory between $14,000 and $48,000 during intense bidding battles among serious buyers. That is what makes coin collecting so addictive. One tiny detail can completely transform a forgotten old coin into a major collector treasure overnight. Most people never notice those details. But collectors train themselves to spot the differences others miss. And perhaps the most exciting part is that discoveries are still happening today. Valuable coins continue showing up inside inherited collections, old money tins, attic boxes, and forgotten drawers all around the world. Some people discover rare coins completely by accident while cleaning out old family belongings. Imagine picking up a dirty old 1977 50 new pence coin that looks worn beyond importance. Then suddenly, you notice an unusual strike or rare feature that sets it apart from every normal example. In that moment, an ordinary coin becomes something completely different. That rush of discovery is what keeps collectors searching year after year. There is also something emotional about coins like this. They connect people to another time. This coin existed during a very different Britain. It moved through daily life during the late 1970s, carrying history with it through every transaction. Every scratch on its surface is part of that long journey. And that is why experienced collectors never judge a coin too quickly based only on appearance. Sometimes the dirtiest and most worn coins carry the biggest surprises hidden inside them. So the next time you see an old UK 50 pence coin sitting unnoticed somewhere, take a closer look before ignoring it. Because hidden behind the wear, dirt, and damage could be a valuable story waiting to be discovered. But the next coin is where things get even more interesting. This 1979 UK 50 new pence coin might look like nothing more than an old piece of worn-out pocket change, but for some collectors, coins like this are exactly where the real treasure hunt begins. Hidden beneath the dirt, faded surfaces, and years of circulation could be a coin with a story far bigger than its face value. The late 1970s were an important time in Britain. The country was going through major political and economic changes, and everyday coins like this passed through millions of hands during that period. This large seven-sided 50 new pence coin became one of the most recognized coins in the United Kingdom. People carried them in pockets, purses, buses, train stations, and shops every single day. But very few stopped to think that decades later, collectors would carefully search through these same coins looking for hidden rarity and surprising value. One thing that makes the 1979 version especially fascinating is the timing. This was the same year Margaret Thatcher became Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, marking the beginning of a major shift in British history. Coins from important historical periods often gain extra collector interest over time because they represent more than money, they represent moments that shaped a nation. Now when we look at this particular coin, it clearly shows heavy circulation. The original shine is long gone, replaced by dark gray surfaces and years of wear. Small scratches, marks, and discoloration cover both sides of the coin. Queen Elizabeth II's portrait still remains visible, but the finer details around the hair and face have softened after decades of handling. On the reverse side, Britannia and the lion can still be recognized clearly, though many smaller design details have become smooth over time. And yet, this kind of worn condition actually makes many collectors even more curious. Why? Because heavily circulated coins often stayed in public use much longer than cleaner examples. They traveled farther, changed hands more often, and sometimes survived in places where rare mint errors and unusual varieties went unnoticed for decades. The large 50 pence design itself was revolutionary when first introduced. Unlike traditional round coins, the seven-sided shape helped people quickly identify the coin by touch while still allowing it to work in vending machines and counting systems. Even today, the old large-format 50-pence pieces remain iconic in British coin history because of their unusual appearance and historical importance. Another fascinating detail is the edge inscription system used on many British coins during this era. Collectors carefully inspect the edges of older UK coins because some rare striking mistakes can appear there. Missing edge details, doubled edges, and unusual lettering problems can turn an ordinary-looking coin into something highly collectible. Now this is where the story becomes even more exciting. Most 1979 50 new pence coins are common in circulated condition. But collectors know that rare error coins can appear when least expected. Certain examples have shown dramatic off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die rotations, and unusual metal flaws that instantly separate them from normal pieces. And then there is the condition rarity factor. Because these coins circulated so heavily, very few survived in perfect or near-perfect condition. Most became scratched and worn after years of daily use. That means top-grade examples today are far more difficult to find than many people realize. Now let's talk about value because this is where things begin surprising people. A heavily circulated 1979 50 new pence coin like this may only sell for a small amount to casual buyers. But once collectors discover unusual varieties or rare minting errors, values can rise very quickly. Sharp uncirculated examples with original luster can sell for hundreds or even thousands depending on collector demand. But the real shock comes from elite examples tied to major minting errors and exceptional preservation. Certain rare 1979 50 new pence coins have stunned the collector market with prices climbing into astonishing six-figure territory. In rare auction situations where rarity, condition, and demand all come together, some exceptional pieces have reached values between $16,000 and $52,000, creating intense excitement among serious collectors. That is what makes coin collecting feel almost like treasure hunting. Most people walk past old coins every day without noticing them. But collectors understand that hidden rarity can sometimes sit quietly inside the most ordinary-looking pieces. And perhaps the most exciting part is that discoveries are still happening right now. People continue finding valuable coins hidden in old tins, inherited collections, junk drawers, and forgotten boxes. Some of the most surprising discoveries happened when someone simply decided to take a second look at an old coin everyone else ignored. Imagine cleaning out an old family drawer and spotting this worn 1979 50 new pence coin sitting among random change. At first, it looks dirty and common. But then you notice a strange strike, unusual lettering, or an odd surface detail. Suddenly, that ordinary coin becomes something much more important. That moment of discovery is what keeps collectors searching year after year. The excitement comes from knowing that valuable coins are still out there waiting to be found. And there is also something deeply emotional about coins like this. This coin survived decades of British history. It passed through countless hands during a changing era of politics, culture, and everyday life. Every worn surface and faded detail carries part of that journey. So the next time you see an old UK 50 pence coin that looks dirty or heavily used, do not dismiss it too quickly. Because sometimes the most worn coins hide the biggest surprises of all. But the next coin takes this story to a whole new level. This 1982 UK 50 pence coin may look like a simple old coin with scratches and years of wear, but out of all the coins we've talked about today, this one may hold the biggest surprise of all. Most people would never stop to look twice at a circulated 50 pence coin from the early 1980s. But collectors know that sometimes the most ordinary-looking coins hide the most unbelievable stories. And this coin has exactly that kind of story. The early 1980s were a difficult and changing time in Britain. The country was facing economic struggles, rising unemployment, and major social changes. Through all of it, coins like this move through everyday life constantly. They pass through shops, train stations, pubs, restaurants, and markets across the United Kingdom. Millions of people used them without ever imagining that decades later, collectors would be fighting to own certain rare examples. Now this 1982 50 pence still shows decent detail despite being circulated. The surfaces have wear from years of use, and small scratches can be seen across both sides of the coin. The original mint shine has faded over time, but the overall design remains strong and easy to recognize. Queen Elizabeth II's portrait still stands clearly on the front, while Britannia and the lion remain visible on the reverse with good remaining detail. But here is where things start getting truly interesting. The 1982 50 pence belongs to the original large-style 50 pence series, a design that eventually disappeared from circulation after the Royal Mint introduced the smaller version years later. Because these older large coins were heavily used for so long, finding examples with clean surfaces and strong detail became much harder over time. And collectors pay very close attention to that. Now here is something many people never realize. Coins from the early 1980s are becoming more collectible every single year because fewer high-quality examples survive today. Most were damaged, cleaned, or worn heavily in circulation. But hidden among those millions of ordinary coins are a few rare pieces carrying unusual minting errors and special characteristics that collectors search for constantly. Some 1982 50 pence coins have shown dramatic die flaws, clipped planchets, rotation errors, and unusual strike problems. These mistakes happened quietly during production at the Royal Mint, and some escaped into circulation unnoticed for decades. Today, finding one of those rare pieces can completely change the value of the coin overnight. And this is where the suspense really begins. Because collectors know that certain rare UK 50 pence coins from this era have become incredibly difficult to locate in strong condition. Every year, fewer untouched examples remain available. Some sit hidden in private collections. Others may still be buried inside forgotten jars or old family boxes waiting to be rediscovered. Now imagine this moment. You are sorting through old coins at home late one evening. You pick up a scratched old 1982 50 pence coin just like this one. At first, it feels ordinary. But then something catches your eye. Maybe the strike looks unusual. Maybe the edge seems different. Maybe there is a small minting flaw nobody noticed before. Suddenly, your heart starts beating faster because you realize this coin could be much more important than anyone expected. That feeling, that moment of possibility, is what makes coin collecting so addictive. Now let's finally talk about the values because this is where things become absolutely shocking. A normal circulated 1982 50 pence coin with scratches and average wear may only sell for a small premium above face value. Cleaner circulated examples can bring higher prices depending on eye appeal and collector interest. Sharp uncirculated coins with strong original surfaces can quickly move into the hundreds or thousands of dollars once graded professionally. But the real excitement comes from the rarest examples. When a 1982 50 pence appears with a major minting error, exceptional preservation, or an extremely rare variety, collectors can become incredibly aggressive during auctions. Some elite examples tied to rare production mistakes and top collector grades have climbed into astonishing six-figure territory. In rare cases where rarity, demand, and condition align perfectly, certain 1982 50 pence coins have reached unbelievable prices between $25,000 and $78,000, leaving even experienced collectors stunned. That is the kind of discovery collectors dream about. And perhaps the most emotional part is knowing that some of these rare coins may still be out there right now. Hidden in old collections. Sitting in forgotten tins. Mixed inside boxes of random foreign coins that nobody has checked carefully in years. That is why experienced collectors never ignore old coins based only on appearance. Because behind scratches, dirt, and circulation wear could be a rare treasure waiting for someone to finally notice it. This 1982 50 pence is more than just an old coin. It is part of British history. It survived decades of circulation, changing hands through an entirely different era of life. And today, coins like this continue creating excitement all around the collector world because nobody knows where the next rare discovery will appear. And honestly, that possibility is what makes this hobby feel almost magical sometimes. Now, as we move toward the final part of this journey, one thing becomes very clear: old coins can hold far more than spare change value. Sometimes they hold history, mystery, and life-changing surprises hidden in plain sight.